Moonlighter is back, but this time it looks different, plays bigger, and leans much more harder into roguelite and extraction style ideas. The first game was known for its beautiful pixel art and simple but addictive dungeon to shop loop. Moonlighter 2 changes a lot of that, and some fans are already divided. So in this video, I want to share my honest first impression and help you figure out if Moonlighter 2 is something you should play. At its core, Moonlighter 2 still sticks some of the same foundation. You explore dungeons, gather valuable items, escape before you die, return to town, and sell everything in your shop to upgrade your gear. That loop is still here, but almost every part of it has been expanded or tweaked. This time, the sequel pushes deeper into roguelite territory. When you enter a dungeon, you'll earn temporary upgrades and modifiers that only last for that specific run. When you leave or die, you lose them. And on the long-term side, you have meta progression that slowly strengthens your character, your potions and your weapons, and even your shop. It creates this constant feeling of improvement, run after run, whether you succeed or fail. We need to talk about the art style because this is probably the most controversial change. The original Moonlighter had a gorgeous pixel art and honestly, some of the best in the whole indie space at the time. Moonlighter 2 moves into a 3D painterly cel-shaded look. It's brighter, smoother and more expressive in motion, but it's also very different from what fans remember. I personally think it looks good, it's clean, it's readable, and it works well with the faster, more ambitious gameplay. But I understand why some players might feel a bit disappointed. The pixel art of the first game was iconic, and this shift would absolutely divide opinions. Still, once I started playing, the visuals didn't bother me at all. If anything, they helped give the game a slightly bigger, more modern identity. The gameplay loop is familiar but better. This is where Moonlighter 2 really shines. The core loop is as addictive as ever, but the sequel adds so many new systems that each run feels more dynamic and rewarding. The biggest improvement is the combat. It's smoother, more responsive, and your weapon options feels more fun to experiment with. You have better combos, better dodging timing, and in general, a more fluid feel. It's not trying to be a hardcore action game, but it's noticeable a step up from the first Moonlighter. Exploration has also been expanded. Instead of walking through random rooms, you now move through a branching map of similar to Slay the Spire. Before each room, you actually choose your path. Maybe you want more loot, maybe a combat challenge, maybe a boss arena. It adds a nice strategic layer that the first game never had. Inside the dungeon, there's a lot of variety. You'll find mini dungeons with unique challenges, special rooms with strangers who offer small upgrades, and encounters that reward you for taking risks. Every few minutes something new pops up and it keeps the pace fresh and engaging. One of the biggest additions is the new run-specific upgrades. These temporary perks change how you play for that one run, and they are a clear step forward towards mainstream roguelike design. Maybe you boost a specific weapon type, maybe you increase your attack speed, maybe you add an elemental effect. Whatever you get, it completely changes your rhythm for that run. Because these upgrades disappear when you return to town, it creates that classic roguelike feeling of just one more attempt. The long-term meta progression is still here too, letting you slowly upgrade your gear, potions and shop. So even when a run fails, you feel like you're still moving forward. The backpack system is honestly one of my favorite things about Moonlighter 2. Just like the first game, you can't carry everything. You have to think about how you manage your loot. But now it's more complex and more interesting. Some items interact with others, burning them, buffing them, or increasing their value if placed correctly. Some items need to be shielded so they don't lose their effects, and some combinations can create really satisfying boosts to your final haul. It turns inventory management into a fun puzzle you play inside the dungeon, and it adds a layer of strategy on top of the combat and exploration. This might sound strange, but Moonlighter 2 actually reminds me of a cozy version of an extraction games like Tarkov, Dark and Darker, or even Arc Raiders. You go in, grab as much loot as possible, and then you decide when to escape. The longer you stay, the more valuable the loot, but the bigger the risk of losing everything. It creates a fun tension without ever feeling stressful. Even when I lose a run, it doesn't feel punishing. It just makes me want to try again with a slightly different strategy. Running your shop is still a core part of the Moonlighter experience, and Moonlighter 2 keeps that charm alive while polishing it in some smart ways. You still bring items back from your dungeon runs, set your prices and watch how customers react, trying to find a perfect balance between making good money and keeping people happy. What's new is the way the shop progression works. Early on, you unlock Keeper, a little robotic chest that acts as your helper inside the shop. Through Keeper, you can buy merchant progression upgrades, expand your shop, improve the way customers interact with your displays, and increase how efficiently your shop operates. It also acts as an additional storage when you're preparing what to sell. It's a simple system, but it adds a nice feeling of growth and an automation as your shop becomes more capable. The shopkeeping side is still a calmer break between the dungeon runs. It gives everything you risk your life for a real sense of value. It captures that same cozy atmosphere the first game had, but with cleaner menus, better pacing and more meaningful upgrades tied to Keeper and the shop itself. It's still satisfying, still fun, and still feels like an important part of the overall loop. Story-wise, I feel Moonlighter 2 is on the lighter side of things. There is a mystery here and a reason behind why you're exploring, but it's not a narrative-driven game, and honestly, that's fine. The charm comes more from the atmosphere, the characters around town, and the loop of exploring, escaping, and rebuilding. What surprised me a bit was the music. Some tracks lean to heavier electronic styles, and sometimes it almost gives off like Skrillex vibes. It's not bad, but occasionally clashes with the cozy fantasy tone of the world. I would prefer something more adventurous or atmospheric, but it's not a deal breaker. So after spending time with Moonlighter 2, the big question is still the same. Should you play it? And honestly, if you're someone who liked the first game's loop, diving into dungeons, managing your loot, upgrading your gear, and running your shop, this sequel builds on that formula in a way that feels both familiar and refreshed. The new art style might be a hurdle for some players, and I completely understand if you prefer the pixel art charm of the original. But once you actually get into the gameplay, that hesitation fades pretty quickly. The combat is smoother, the dungeon structure feels more meaningful, and the Roguelite modifiers adds a nice layer of replayability without making the game stressful or overwhelming. What surprised me the most is that Moonlighter 2 manages to feel bigger and more varied, but still keeps that relaxed, cozy flow that makes the loop so addictive. Even when a run goes wrong, you still feel like you're progressing, and the shopkeeping with Keeper, helping you upgrade things, gives everything you bring back from the dungeon a sense of purpose. It's not a game that tries to shock you or chase massive moments. Instead, it's a game that pulls you in slowly, with that just one more run feeling that's easy to sink in at the end of a long day. And if that's the kind of experience you enjoy, something steady, rewarding, and not too demanding, then I really think Moonlighter 2 is worth giving a try. Now, if you enjoyed this breakdown, feel free to leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the new art style, or if you tried Moonlighter 1 and want to jump into the sequel. I always enjoy hearing your thoughts. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more relaxed should you play it videos with first impressions and monthly gaming picks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. As we finish up this first impression, I will leave you with some final gameplay footage.